Before I begin this presentation, I would like to address that some of this information might be uncomfortable or triggering. Please step away if you need to. In the summer of 2023, I volunteered at a South Asian organization for immigrant women in New York City. Here is a map of South Asia for context. The organization helps immigrant Bengali women adapt to American culture. As a conversation buddy, I met once every week with a young Bengali lady, Sahana, to practice her English. As the weeks passed by, she started opening up about her situation living with her angry husband. I vividly remember even now when she said, I feel like I'm stuck in a Kabar. I'm of no value. We lost contact shortly after, and I learned from the organization that she's not the only immigrant woman living with an abusive partner. Hello, my name is Ria, and I'm here to present my thesis on supporting South Asian immigrant women living with an abusive partner. Experiencing violence in the US. When conversing with a friend, he mentioned how domestic violence is a huge problem in the South Asian community. Growing up, he saw many women get abused, but he still remembers this one man who burned his wife alive, and not a single person questioned him. This was validated further when I learned from a study conducted in 2021 that 48% South Asians experience physical violence. Kavita Mehra, who is the executive director of Sakhi, says that the average in the US is 1 in 4. However, for the South Asian diaspora, it's 2 in 5. To understand this problem, I spoke and heard from various subject matter experts, such as domestic violence advocates, researchers, and psychologists. From them, I learned that over half of the survivors served by South Asian TV organizations are immigrants. Moreover, there's a huge gap in the data available in comparison to the number of cases being reported. The studies that exist on databases are minimal. Not only that, most of the research available date back to the early 90s and 2000s, with the emergence of a few recent studies visually represented like this. My subject matter expert, Margaret Abraham, revealed that apart from underreporting, if you look at statistics, there are no national studies. In order to get access to more resources and funding, there needs to be a systematic form of data collection. Yet, in 2021, 26 TV organizations across the US received 43,000 requests of help. So why is there underreporting? I conducted a co-creation session to understand how a South Asian woman is perceived in her community. We had conversations around abusive relationships in South Asian households and rewatched clips from mainstream South Asian entertainment media. From the conversation we had, it was clear to me that abuse is normalized in the South Asian diaspora. This was validated when one of my participants said, I did not know domestic violence organizations existed until you mentioned it. As the co-creation progressed, it kept getting more interesting. I asked my participants what they would do if they were the opposite gender. Not so surprisingly, the men in the room were out of words. They were all huddled together discussing what they could write. On the contrary, the women had a lot to say in comparison to the men. From the research I conducted so far, I gathered that there is a lack of education on abuse, stigma, and language barriers that is stopping immigrant women from seeking help. This was further validated by Amrita Doshi, who said that going to a DV organization would probably be the 10th step. So how can we help South Asian survivors seek help discreetly? Introducing my first design intervention, Mahfouz, a one-stop AI chatbot for South Asian survivors to get access to resources in their preferred language. Mahfouz could be accessed through a simple Google search or by scanning the QR code. Let me walk you through Mahfouz through Sahana's eyes. She finds a poster in a women's public bathroom. Intrigued, she scans the QR code. Then opens up Mahfouz's chat. She chooses her preferred language. The chatbot confirms with her if she's in an emergency situation and then lets her ask her question. The chatbot also connects her can also connect her to a hotline agent. If Sahana senses danger, she can click the X and the website would take her safely back to the Google search page. Going back to Sahana's story, I realized that I was almost like her personal diary. She spends all her day doing kitchen chores and taking care of her children. Over the years, she realized that she has been living with an abusive partner. But where will she go in this foreign country? Who can she talk to? She can't even ask for help because she doesn't speak English. This questioned me to think about how we could help a survivor cope with stress. Hence, I designed Flush. Flush is a book disguised in the form of a cleaning detergent. This book dissolves into soap when in contact with water. It is a safe way for someone to write down their feelings and flush them away. I showed this to my SME Antya, who said that although this intervention could be a great coping mechanism, it is a lost opportunity to collect evidence. This led me to think of privacy and safety while collecting evidence. So, how does a survivor navigate the challenges of not having any privacy? I designed my second intervention Unravel. I wanted to learn different touch points of how someone could collect evidence by simulating a similar environment where someone is constantly being monitored. One participant was given one participant was given objects to hide that their partner had to find. Let's look at the experience. The feedback I got from the experience was that hiding things in a limited span of time was a challenge. Introducing my last intervention, Noor. Noor is a safety box for South Asian survivors who are trying to document their journey discreetly. Stereotypically, menstruation is a stigma in the South Asian culture. Men stay away from interacting with period products. Using this to our advantage, Noor is disguised in menstrual packaging where women can safely store items they want to hide. It's also available in different languages. Let's see how the product works. Inside this box, they also get access to a QR code, which leads them to the Noor app. Noor app is available in various South Asian languages. Once the user enters a password, they can do diary entries, they can write their feelings, they can store photos, as well as record voice memos. The app will also expose them to a community of survivors who are navigating through similar struggles. Now, let's say that the user is in danger of her documentation being exposed. She can simply type another password, which will open up as a menstrual tracker that the user can use as a disguise. To conclude this presentation, I would like to leave the audience with this photo taken at my co-creation. We as a society as a society should raise our children to be strong, independent women. Everyone in this world deserves to live free. So let's do our small part to making a difference. This thesis is dedicated to all those women who are living with abuse. You're not alone. Thank you.
Ria, thank you so much for committing to this topic. Designers so often want the fruits of their labor to be noticed and to be conspicuous. And look at me, pay attention to me, buy me, subscribe to me. You're designing for things that like can't be noticed, shouldn't be noticed. Was that a completely different design experience for you for the past year compared to some of the other projects that you've worked on? I'm curious about this.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that was a different approach. Concealing things is actually more difficult than showing off something. And I didn't realize how hard it would be to like conceal, and even just in from the perspective of a woman who's living in abuse, her life is really hard, and concealing constantly, it's a constant battle.
I wonder if you could talk about some of the challenges in doing the research.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenge that I personally faced was like getting people to talk, and since it's a very like sensitive topic, it was really hard to get that human, personal touch. But yeah.
And you had mentioned some cultural barriers as well.
Yeah, I think during my research, I realized how, when you do your research, you realize how there are these things that you that goes unnoticed. And I remember when I read this quote in an article that violence is basically anything where you don't have a choice. And that really changed my perspective because I never thought of it that way.
Wow, that's profound. Thank you so much.
Thank you.